Hello there, horse racing fans, and welcome back to the channel. Specifically, jumps racing fans. The jumps is just around the corner. The excitement is building up, and it's that time of the year, I should say, where I'm going to be bringing my 5 to follow for the season. I only did 2 horses to follow last season, and one of them was Guard Your Dreams, who ended up going from a mark of about 140, and it ended up winning a few big horses, including the Grade 2 International Hurdle, I think it was, at Cheltenham. That was pretty impressive, if I do say so myself, especially for someone who's more concentrating on the flat. So we're going to bring out 5 to follow, hopefully find one of them horses that just win, and progress through the handicap ranks, and hopefully into guided company at the end of the season as well. So I have gone with a few unique choices, we could say, but I've avoided the obvious ones. Everyone knows that Facile Virgo over hurdles and Constitution Hill stepping into open company over hurdles are horses to follow. So we've kind of gone for the more less obvious ones and a few horses that definitely should be added to your tracker. And the first one is Killer Kane, owned by the Tizzards. Now this was a £300,000 purchase, and from a point-to-point winner, has done pretty well in bumpers and over hurdles to actually win races and be competitive. Was always going to be a staying chaser in time, and ran some very good races at the back end of last season. Got a quick fire double and then finished third at Aintree in a Grade 3. That was off a mark of 131, and I think left off that mark, taking off this season. This horse is very lightly raced, is only a 6-year-old, so he's pretty young for a chaser, but already jumps very well. The stamina and the jumping is only going to get better in time as well. I think this horse can probably pick up an easy handicap on return and then be aimed at a big one. It's probably got a mark of 131. That might be a little bit too low to get into to some of the big handicaps earlier on, so might have to be well placed. Maybe pick up an easy win, a short win, get put up a couple of pounds to a mark closer to the mark of 140s, which will mean he's pretty much eligible to run in every big handicap, and from there he's going to be a serious horse to follow. He travels so well, he jumps, he stays all day long, and he could be travelling into a race from anywhere from 2.5 miles up to like a 3-mile 2-trip if you think of some of the bigger staying races at the end of the season. So he's definitely one to follow, especially if Brendan Powell is on board as well. He's a serious jockey, has got a very good striker with the Tizzards as well. Second horse is one that's actually running on Saturday at Chepstow, is at least entered, and that's going to be All Mankind, who at this meeting at Chepstow 3 years ago was absolutely electric over hurdles, made a mockery of a Group 1, beat Cerberus by 10 lengths on that very heavy ground. You could barely see watching where any of the horses was. It was covered in fog, but he was very impressive that day, and then he progressed well as a juvenile hurdler, finished third behind, would have been behind Gershon, who fell in the JCB Triumph hurdle, was beaten by Aspire Tower, I think it was, or Burning Victory. I think it was Burning Victory that won the Triumph that year. And Took to Chasing was electric over fences as well, and just kind of boiled off towards the back end of last season. But if you look at his marks, as a hurdler he's rated 148, as a chaser he's rated 162. There's a lot of progress that he could make in the hurdling division. I think Connections will keep to hurdles, try exploit that mark earlier on. He's got a big handicap, or he could even be a guided hurdler, to be totally honest. If he's back, I think that Borwick over the summer should have done him good. He has put some big performances in fresh before, so if he's 100% heading into this season, then he's got a very attractive hurdles mark to work off. Another horse is third on the list is Ramillies, who wouldn't be one of Willie Mullins' stable stars, but he is going to be a pretty nice staying chaser in time. Like Killer Kane, will absolutely stay all day, and I always thought he'd jump a fence in time. I think that's easy to say for some horses that go hurdling and aren't as fluent over hurdles. They say, oh, there'll be a chaser in time, but this one definitely is built like a chaser. A beautiful grey horse. I think he ran some pretty nice races at Punchestown and at Cheltenham. He finished 6th in both Grade 1s. That was over 30 miles, which probably wasn't far enough in time for him. He looks like the standard National Hunt chase horse at Cheltenham for the 30 mile 2 furlong race. But before then, he's got to prove he can jump. But if he can jump, he definitely stays all day. He goes on all types of ground, to be totally honest, and he's one that'll just won't be too flashy at anything. He won't be doing anything quickly, but will be grounding horses into submission over the season, and anything over 30 miles, I think it'll take a dour stayer to beat him. Fourth on the list is probably the most obvious one, but I think this is the most exciting horse that's going to be jumping a fence this season, maybe bar Shishkin. It's actually trained by the same person as Shishkin, and it is Jonbon, who has only been beaten once in its career, and that was by Constitution Hill in the Supreme Hurdle. Was probably put in his place, to be totally honest, that day. Still don't think he performed as well as he could have done that day. Proved he was back on form when winning at Aintree, the next time beating El Fabiolo, and I just think that this horse has got a huge career ahead of him. Obviously, the pedigree, a brother to Douvan, that means he's probably going to be quite a good jumper. He's a slick hurdler as well. Over 2 miles, a speedy 2 miles. He's going to ping his fences and he's going to be an electric watcher. Definitely think this is a horse to follow for the season. He's probably going to be short enough priced throughout the season, but I just think he's going to be electric and he's going to take... I think only he can get himself beaten this season, to be totally honest. If he jumps a fence as well as his brother did Douvan, then he's going to be winning everything in the 2 mile division this season over fences. And finally, fifth on the list. If you've been following me a long time, you definitely know about this horse, Ahoy Sen Yor, who I've pretty much followed since day one. I saw him at Wetherby last season and he looked unbelievable. He's a huge horse, and he was kind of a bit of a big baby early on in last season. That probably didn't help him. He was a bit novice-y at some of his fences. That was shown when he was beaten by Brave Man's Game at Kempton, but since then he's been a pretty good horse. He was just beaten at Cheltenham, but then backed up at Aintree, and that was the complete performance. He didn't put a foot wrong at all. Derek Fox rode him that day, gave him a brilliant ride from the front, jumped his fences beautifully, and I think he's got one of the biggest engines in training. He's got some nice natural speed as well. He's got tons of ability, stays all day. There's not a reason not to like this horse. I think a few people gave up on him a bit too soon after the early parts of last season, but heading into this season, if he's at the Charlie Hall at Wetherby, I will 100% be there to see him. I think he's a potential superstar. He could line up in the King George, and then the long-term target would be somewhere at Aintree, Punchestown, or even the Cheltenham Gold Cup. I think options are open for this horse, and if he's trained on, bulked up a bit over the summer as well, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. He's definitely got the engine, he's got the jump in now, and it's a great team that he's trained by. So he is my fifth horse to follow for the season. Thanks a lot for watching. Do you agree with the horses to follow? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you want to give me your 5 horses to follow, I will definitely have a look at them comments and be taking your advice on board throughout the jump season. That's all from me. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.